Here we go again. Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver, just dropped on Netflix a couple of days ago. It's actually, by now, I think it's been almost 2 weeks since it dropped. I know I'm a little bit late, but today I'm finally giving you my thoughts on Rebel Moon Part 2. For those of you that saw my review on Rebel Moon Part 1, you know that I didn't really care for it that much, and I was hoping that Part 2 could be a breath of fresh air and fully sell me into this franchise. And unfortunately, it did the exact opposite. I disliked Part 2 more than I disliked Part 1. And that's a bummer because I really wanted to like these movies. I usually like Zack Snyder. I like stories like this. I think it could be a good idea. But nothing works for me in these movies. It doesn't feel original. I don't feel like I know the characters at all. I don't know anything about them. I don't know anything about this world. Zack Snyder has had almost 4.5 hours worth of movies across these two films, and I still feel like I know absolutely nothing about these characters. And yeah, that's a bummer. I walked out of Part 1 really disappointed because of that, because the characters felt very one note and very unoriginal, very generic. So I was hoping that Part 2 could fix that and sell me more into this world and make me care about these characters. And it just didn't do that. One of them straight up dies, and I didn't care at all. You know that meme from The Boys of Homelander staring blankly at the screen? He's watching his own movie and he's just sitting in his seat, absolutely emotionless. That's exactly how I felt watching this movie. I felt nothing the entire time for 2 hours of this movie. I felt absolutely nothing. I didn't laugh. I didn't cry. I didn't pump my fist in the air. Nothing. I really I didn't like this movie. It's not necessarily one of the worst movies I've ever seen by any means, and there were a few moments that I guess were kind of cool. I mean, there's a moment between Noble and Cora where they have these like kind of rip off lightsabers, and they're having a kind of duel on a ship, and there's a few semi decent action sequences in this movie, I think. But Zack Snyder fails to do the one thing that I really look for in a movie, and that is making me give a shit about these characters. I didn't. I know nothing about them or this world, and I know I've said that a lot. I'm sorry to make it repetitive, but seriously, when you're making a film, when you're writing a film, you have to care about the characters, at least a little bit. And if I don't care about any of the characters, I'm not going to care about anything else. I need to care about the characters and the world and the story before I can care about anything else. You cannot sell me on just action and semi-decent visual effects alone. I think the only somewhat compelling character in this movie was James, the robot from the first movie he was barely in the first movie. He was in it for a couple minutes, and he didn't have a lot of screen time in this one either. He had a little bit more. He had one pretty good action sequence himself, and he was the only character that I actually really enjoyed, and I think that's just mainly because of Anthony Hopkins' performance. I like his voice and I like him as an actor, so I think that's the main reason why I was sold on him as the character. But other than that, I really just don't have anything to say about this film. Some of you out there might absolutely love these movies. You might adore them, and good for you. I hope there is somebody out there that likes these movies, but I just do not. And according to Rotten Tomatoes and the audience, not a lot of other people do either. So if you're part of the audience that did like this movie, good for you. If you didn't like this movie, why? Let me know down in the comments. And if you did, why? I mean, I'm curious. Maybe you caught something that I didn't, but as of right now, I feel the same way I did with part one. Um, kind of worse, actually, which is a bummer. But yeah, that's all I have for you today. Thank you for watching. I know this was kind of a bummer review, but I gotta be honest with what I think, and I didn't enjoy this movie. So thank you for watching. Until my next video, like this one, subscribe to my channel. It would really mean a lot. And I have a couple other videos coming out this week, so stay tuned for those. Until then, keep watching movies. Goodbye.